Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to make a review on what I think is my favorite camera ever. And it's not because it's the sexiest, and it's not because it's like the elite of the elite, certainly not in 2024, but it's my favorite camera because it just works. And it has worked for years. And it does exactly what it promises, and it does it well. And that is actually the camera that I'm filming with right now, and that's my Olympus e-m1 Mark II. Now, just so you know, I have experience shooting with almost all other formats. I don't have any medium format experience, but I do have a full frame camera right here, and I've had many others. This is a Sigma FP with some Voigtlander manual focus glass on there. I have my much beloved Ricoh GR3, APS-C obviously, and I've had other APS-C and full frame cameras as well as other Micro Four Thirds cameras like this one, the cult classic, the Olympus Pen F that everyone wants OM Systems to update, and will probably never happen. But yeah, so you know that I have experience with other cameras. I know what full frame has to offer. I know what many APS-C cameras have to offer. I know the trade-offs between the formats. And so I hope to make this as well. This suggestion that the e-m1 Mark II is a good camera is coming from somebody who's used a lot of other cameras. Let's just say that. And it's coming from somebody who has never been a Lumix ambassador or a Olympus visionary or OM, who knows what they call them nowadays. All the cameras that I have bought with my own money, and that includes the e-m1 Mark II, and so hopefully it's as unbiased as possible. Why should you consider buying the e-m1 Mark II in 2024 or 2025? Well, I want to give you a couple reasons. So first of all look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that the e-m1 Mark II is the master of all trades. It's not. It's the jack of all trades and the master of some. Of course, there are trade-offs when it comes to Micro Four Thirds. You're not going to get elite dynamic range. You're not going to get elite resolution like some of the other cameras. You're probably not going to get the fanciest of fancy new features in software-wise or computational-wise in the e-m1 Mark II. However, I think that it really excels in the areas that it needs to, and the trade-offs are very, very reasonable. And honestly, I don't think you're going to notice the trade-offs as much if you actually get the camera in hand than you will if you just watch a bunch of reviews online, because they always highlight the trade-offs. But as far as dynamic range, it has good dynamic range. I pull back shadows and highlights 2-3 stops all the time, no problem. As far as the resolution, you can get a lot out of 20-21 megapixels, even though the camera companies want you to think you need 61 or whatever it is. And so there are trade-offs. However, I think if you use the camera, most people in 90% of situations really aren't going to notice them as much as they might worry before, when they're trying to make their camera purchasing decision. But let me tell you why the e-m1 Mark II really excels, or where it really excels. So the first one is image stabilization. Class leading, even in 2024, exceptional image quality. You can be walking with this thing and fall in a pothole, and I swear it will it will keep your image stabilized. So image stabilization is excellent. Autofocus. Now this is one you might not think of because Micro Four Thirds has kind of had a reputation of struggling with autofocus, but the e-m1 Mark II originally had pretty decent autofocus. It received a new update, like a firmware update, like 3 years after it was released, receiving the new autofocus from like the e-m1X, I believe, which was the flagship Olympus camera at the time. I've filmed with this camera now for like 2 years. There have been very, very few situations where the camera has not succeeded in grabbing focus from my intended target. Now, I don't do extreme stuff like birds in flight or I don't know what other extreme stuff is there. But just for general use, autofocus really is excellent. I don't think Olympus got enough credit for their autofocus, or at least as much as they should have. Another reason is battery life. Battery life is still really, really excellent, even by 2024 standards. Another reason, the lens options. The lens options for Micro Four Thirds are vast. You can use the Olympus lenses, you can use third-party lenses, you can use Panasonic lenses, which work kind of natively with a few trade-offs. And another thing about the lenses is that generally I think the prices on the lenses, that what it costs for like premium glass is a little bit lower than what you're going to pay in APS-C and full frame. Part of that might just be because they're smaller, so there's less materials going into them. But I think, generally it's easier to buy into high quality lenses for a cheaper price. And speaking of price, I'll say this about the e-m1 Mark II. A lot of cameras and brands have really been hit hard by inflation over the last several years since the plague came around, and especially in really the last 2 years, really seen an increase in used camera prices. I don't think this camera has been hit nearly as hard. I'm not even sure it's been hit at all by inflation. You can still buy them for roughly the same price that I bought mine for 2 years ago. And that's like, if you're on eBay, that's where I do most of my shopping. You can pick one of these up for like $450 US. And there's no shortage of them. Like, you can get them all over the place. You can get them from Japan. And by the way, shout out to Map Cameras in Japan. If you've never bought from them on eBay, exceptional service. I will buy Map Camera stuff forever. That's where I bought this Olympus from. And no affiliation, they just have exceptional customer service. So Map Cameras, if you're worried about like sketchy eBay sellers or whatever, just get on Map Cameras. You'll be fine. I think they shipped this thing to me from Japan in like 2 days to the US. So anyway, very reasonable prices, has not really been hit by inflation. And, like many people have said, the camera industry has not advanced. Like the technological leaps have really slowed down in the last couple of years. So yeah, this is a camera that came out in 2016, but it's still an exceptionally capable camera, and it kept receiving firmware updates for like 3 years into like 2018, 2019, back when Olympus was really doing a great job in the camera space. I'm not making any statements about what's happening now, but they really used to do an excellent job keeping their loyal customers up to date with updates and firmware. I think the e-m1 Mark II is really an excellent camera because it's a camera that you can grow with. You can start off, if you're just exploring photography and you're looking for a good budget camera, it's available, for a reasonable price. And it is genuinely like a pro body. It's weather sealed. You can dump a bucket of water on it and you have no problems. As I mentioned, there's a variety of lenses out there. You can take it out on the street and shoot street photography if you want to. The autofocus is fast enough to do that. You can take it out in nature and do wildlife. And if you build out your lenses in the future, I think it's a camera that you're not necessarily going to feel like, if you want to move to the next level, that you're going to have to move up in camera body. You might move up in lenses, but I really think that this camera is one that gives you a professional experience. It should, right? It is a professional camera. I will say that I've had mine for 2 years now, I think, and I've taken it all over the place, thrown it in backpacks, kind of abused it because I don't always take good care of my gear. And the dials are excellent. The grip is excellent. It still, could probably pass as almost new. And so Olympus build quality really is excellent. That good Japanese build quality. I got that on my Sigma FP. There's something different about it versus that other country over there. So I'm sure that there's other reasons that I could give you for picking up an e-m1 Mark II in 2024, but I just wanted to make this video in case anyone was considering the camera. I know some people kind of they feel better about making a purchase if they get a confirmation from somebody who's used the camera that it really is a good product. And so this is your permission to go online, go on eBay, go on KEH or MPB or wherever it is that you're buying, or find one in Marketplace and pick one of these up. I really don't think that you're going to be disappointed, and I think it's going to be a great camera for years to come. I'm planning to keep mine and use it for my work as I do, and I'm planning to do that for probably the next couple of years. So as someone who is a daily user of this camera, I heartily recommend it to you.